The United States Air Force, in discharging its responsibility for the aerospace defense of the nation, is called upon to investigate reports of unidentified flying objects. Two Air Force officers have over the years been very closely associated with this activity. Lieutenant Colonel Lawrence Thacker was formerly the chief spokesman for the Air Force on the matter, and Major Hector Quintanilla is now the chief of Project Blue Book. Major Quintanilla, what are the objectives of Project Blue Book?
The objectives of the program are twofold. They're the same as they have been since 1953 when the regulations were written. First of all, to try to determine if the UFO phenomena presents a threat to the security of the United States. And second, to determine if the UFO phenomena exhibits any technological advances which could be channeling to research and development.
What's the record so far?
To date, we have over 10,000 cases at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, of which 646 of these remain unidentified. That's not to say that we could not have identified more cases if we had gotten to the observer quickly and checked the local activity.
The Air Force has been accused from time to time of hiding information about UFO. What do you have to say to that, Colonel Patton?
Well, these charges are absolutely untrue. Actually, the United States Air Force releases statistics on the UFO phenomena through the Department of Defense press desk periodically, and we've always honored accredited media when they want to investigate a given specific sighting.
There's nothing to hide?
There's nothing to hide at all.
Is there anything in the files, either classified or unclassified, that would indicate that there may be extraterrestrial visitors over here?
First of all, the project is completely unclassified. And there is nothing in the records which would indicate that we have been visited by any advanced civilization.
How does the Air Force look upon people who make reports of UFO? Do they look on them as qualified observers?
Yes, they do look on them as qualified observers. Actually, most people who report a UFO sighting are patriotic citizens who have been mystified by something that they've seen, and through a patriotic sense, report it to the local law enforcement officials or to the United States Air Force Base near them.
What would you consider as a person qualified to interpret what he sees?
Well, I consider astronomers genuinely expert in their field. First of all, they have a tremendous advantage over the other physical scientists, and that is that they have powerful telescopes and photographic equipment to confirm their interpretation.
Do astronomical laboratories make any contribution to the UFO program?
In a negative way, they do, because I've never received a UFO report from an observatory.
Not a one?
Not a single one.
Well, how about the tracking and detection facilities that the Air Force itself has? How does this fit the program?
Well, actually, to begin with, the United States Air Force is charged by an act of Congress with the air defense of the United States. And the North American Air Defense Command and the Air Defense Command have space tracking facilities which are constantly on the alert 24 hours a day. We're interested in anything that flies in our atmosphere.
Well, how about UFO reports in other countries? How are they handled?
Well, UFOs actually occur worldwide. However, the United States is the only country in the world that places as much emphasis on the phenomenon. Other countries place a burden of proof on the observer and not on their Air Force.
And that would make your job a lot easier if they did that here.
Yes, it would.
Thank you, Colonel Thacker, Major Quintanilla. I would like to close by reading a very brief excerpt from the report of the Air Force's Scientific Advisory Board, which they made recently upon completing a detailed review of the subject of UFO. This is a statement. The committee concluded that in the 19 years since the first UFO was sighted, there has been no evidence that unidentified flying objects are a threat to our national security.
Was at this event that just took place in Miami. They're calling it aliens. From what you've told me, it seems like you believe that too. How did this all happen from the Hard Rock to the Bayside Mall? Just kind of walk us through. First off, why were you even at the Hard Rock?
Well, my sister came down to visit me, so I took her down to Miami to the Hard Rock down there to do a little gambling, have a little fun. And, we got tired of gambling for a little bit, and she wanted to do some, shopping, to go out and buy some stuff, for the kids, take back home. So I said, the mall's not too far from here. Let's go to the mall. So that's what we did.
Like 40, 50 minutes away, something like that.
Yeah, and, went in the mall. We were going to get something to eat while we were there and everything. But we're walking around, just kind of looking and everything. All of a sudden, I hear these screaming. People started screaming. I'm not sure if I heard gunshots to begin with. We heard something like pop, pop, pop.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really sound like a gun to me. But then these people are running by us. They're panicking. And I'm going, oh, fuck, what do? We walk into a movie scene? Because there's film production scenes going on. Maybe we slipped by and maybe they're making a movie.
Right.
But these people are running. They actually knocked my sister down for a second. She got up and she was scared. I was kind of scared. I thought it was, maybe someone's in there shooting at people, which happens. And then I seen like 2 or 3 SWAT guys run past me, and I looked the way they were going, and I could see it looked like these big, tall, maybe 10, 12 foot tall. The best I can say is they looked like they were shadows, but yet, they wouldn't. They were solid. You could tell they were solid. And they were tall. Kind of make you think of the average alien that you would see on TV, the big, tall.
Did it look like an alien? Like the shadow of an alien?
It looked humanoid, but not humanoid. And
because no human that we know of is 10 or 12 feet tall. So
people were still running by me, scared. People were falling down and running, and I'm sitting there thinking, "What the hell is it?" I'm still thinking we walked into a movie.
It was just like something out of a freaking nightmare, and it was real. I mean, like these big, tall, like shadowy things, and I looked over at you, and I was like, "You were gone." It was like there were so many people from that mall just running and screaming, and I mean it was scary. It almost kind of reminded me of like 9/11 and all that shit when the towers fell and all that. That was kind of scary, but is all the smoke. Remember when the towers fell and all the smoke came, and I mean it was just like all this smoke, but it was the shadows of this image, and they were coming at you, and I don't know, man. It was like a freaking nightmare, and it seemed like, it took me forever to find you, and that, I don't want to ever come back down there if that's going to be a case like that, because, this shit fucking, that was pretty damn scary.
Production.
Right.
I wasn't really scared, but all of a sudden my sister was running with all the people. She took off, so I took off too, because I don't know what it was. I didn't want to get ate by an alien.
Right.
If that's what it was.
And people were saying that, like, they thought fireworks were going off or something like that.
Yeah, it sounded like pop, pop, pop to me, but it didn't sound like a big shotgun blast or AR-15 or anything like that.
Right.
And it was off in the distance behind me. I mean, it could almost sound like someone was taking light bulbs and busting them. Pop, pop, pop.
Wow.
Light bulb sounds. And then there was a buzzing sound. The buzzing sound, the best I can describe it. I don't know if you ever heard those transformers when they were getting ready to blow.
Like the ones that are on like power poles and stuff, power cable lines.
That's what it kind of sounded like. And then you could smell like, I guess maybe like burning wires. Mm-hmm. There was that kind of smell in the air too. So I didn't see anything, but I'm thinking in my mind, the pop, pop, pop. It might have been the electrical bulbs and some kind of thing that popped.
Right.
Because that's what it sounded like, a transformer exactly.
But inside the mall, though, that's where you
yeah, there's no transformers
right.
that you know of unless you're up in the attic or something. But yeah, I tell you what, I always believed there's aliens, but then I back of me thought, fuck, they're never going to be here. Mm-hmm. But I think they really were aliens. Because when we got outside, man, I bet you there was 40 or 50 cop cars all over the place. Sirens running. The cops were
right.
all in panic mode too. Like I said, those 2-3 guys, I think it was 3 SWAT guys run by me. I say SWAT because they had the vest on and they had their AR-15s.
Wow.
They were, you could tell when the look on their face, they were scared. They didn't know what they were running into.
Yeah, I would have been freaking out, dude. I mean, just hearing, like, the way you're describing it, even your sister, she's supposed to be sending us a video here in a second about what she experienced, but she was saying that there was, as these things were coming towards everybody and people were running, not only was that she did mention the sound that you just talked about, but she said that it smelled like every step that these things got closer of burning wire, she said.
Yeah, that's what it smelled like to me too. So,
wow.
But yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure. The only thing I know is like when we got outside, the police kept pushing people away.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know actually what happened because I mean, when I say away, they pushed us far away. They made us go. We got in their cars. They escorted everybody out of the parking lot.
Do you think that's because they knew what was going on and they were trying to possibly cover it up quickly, or? I
don't know. I don't think they knew what was going on from the looks of most of those cops. They were standing behind their cars like, is somebody going to shoot me? You know, they were like,
right.
I mean, you know, you could see fear in people's face when you're in battle. And that was the kind of fear I saw of these cops. They thought they were going to walk into something and may not come out of it. You could just see it.
So from a winning streak at the casino to the Bayside Mall, I know you had mentioned you guys were going to go to like Bubba Gump's and get a bite to eat or something like that. Had you guys ate yet whenever you were doing your shopping?
No, we hadn't ate yet. We were going to eat, but we hadn't. We just, you know, left it. I don't know what time it was, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not really sure because we stayed up all night long playing. And, you know, when you're there 24 hours, you kind of
lose track. I've walked out of casinos at 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, it's daylight.
Yeah, you don't realize it.
So you heard the pops, you heard the sounds. There was a smell of burning wire.
Yeah.
People were running frantic. There was tons of cops. This
and
thing.
Those figures, when I saw them, you could tell they were coming towards us.
Right.
But they didn't look like they were walking like a person would walk. You know, if anything, they were kind of like sliding across maybe the thing.
Maybe like hovering?
Yeah, it could be. And very well could be. Like I said, looked like they were shadows, but at the same time, you couldn't see what was behind them. They were like a really dark figure. And it's not like the ghost figures like I've seen before and stuff.
Right.
Like that. Nothing like that.
Not like a paranormal, shadow figure.
It wasn't paranormal. I'm positive of that.
Wow. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be news stations and reporters and maybe even the FBI showing up to talk to you because, you know, a lot of these people, for some reason, and I get it, a lot of people are saying, well, if all this was happening, why didn't people pull out their phones? It's the last thing you would think of.
That was the last thing that you'd think of. And of course, I had my phones in the car. I didn't even take my phone in with me.
Right.
And you don't think about that as a rule.
Yeah.
I mean, and because everything happens so fast.
If there was a shooting, I mean, the last thing you would do is pull out your phone and you didn't know what was going on.
Whatever, yeah. And like I said, I still in my mind thought it was a movie production, and because it just seemed
unreal. Yeah.
You know, it's just hard to believe. But I did think it was an active shooter to begin with, the way the people were running and screaming, and I thought, well, we got to get out of here. Because, you know, bullets would go flying. I didn't want my sister to get hit. I ain't worried about myself, but...
Right. When you seen the big figures, never seeing nothing like that before, it probably clicked in your mind, well, maybe this is a projection or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they were making a movie.
Yeah.
I thought, well, maybe all these people were hired. How do we get in here?
Honestly, after you explaining it, like, I can see why you would think that and how you would think that, because it just seemed too sequenced and unreal, and even when I looked at the footage of all those cops there, I've never seen nothing like that.
Everywhere. I mean, you know, even active shooters before, when you see usually maybe a dozen cops show up.
Right.
This was 3 or 4 times that.
Yeah, it looked like they had every cop in the state there.
Yeah.
It almost would appear that they knew something that nobody else knew, because again, that's just. If you look at the footage, I'm sure I've put the footage on the screen, but look at how many cops are at this scene. I've never seen anything like that, not even in a movie.
I figured the government's going to come out with some kind of explanation of what was going on, and they're going to try to hide the fact that it could have been aliens. They're going to say it was a hoax or this or that. You know, it just seems...
Steve, you are the only